purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igoe.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors on a Thursday, December 5th edition of the program. We've got an exciting show ahead for you guys. It is going to be a bit of a guest list show in terms of we're not going to have a phone guest or an in-studio guest, but it's a Philip Pilkington and Stephen Igoe day because there's a lot to talk about in sports. Philip, I was thinking last night, I was talking with Mark Yellock earlier this week, our usual Thursday guest. He's got some irons in the fire, so to speak, trying to get back into the coaching world. We've got other people that join us every now and then, but I'm like, man, Philip, we need a me and you day, and just talking live, talking ball, talking ECU. Playoffs are rolling around for college football. NFL playoffs are coming. We got a lot to talk about, so why not just me and you break it down? People like our chemistry, I think. At least like two people out there do.
No, I'm kind of glad. It was last year we had Mondays, and Joe has brought insight to Mondays that you and I can never do because we've never played, so I've really enjoyed having them. But I can't even tell you the last time it's just been the two of us. It was probably the last show of the year right after baseball got beat. I think that Friday it might have just been us.
Yeah.
And I want to say that was the last time.
It's been a while, as they say. And as always, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you got a question, comment, concern, again, we'll take any question you got today. And we're going to start with ECU. Cameron says, Philip and Igoe, y'all kill it. Brady Thomas says, good afternoon. John Moody, man, I asked for comments, and they just start rolling in, Philip. John Moody says, would you put money on a bowl announcement before Sunday? So we'll start there. We are going to talk mainly ECU in segment one, and again, the comments can carry the show as always. We'll get into the playoff picture, both college and NFL, later in the show. John, to answer your question, I have heard rumblings, whatever that means, but it's a commonly used word in the industry, that we could hear a bowl announcement as soon as today at some point. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that, nor am I saying that's going to happen, but I would not be shocked if somehow that happened today. I continue to hear, much like John Gilbert said on the Patrick Johnson show on Wednesday, Military Bowl, I think, is kind of what ECU, I don't want to say pushing for, but it's kind of leaning that direction right now. But the problem is, here's the deal. Army is also in play for the Military Bowl. Navy is most likely going to the Armed Forces Bowl in Texas. That's where they would prefer to go. You got the Military Bowl. They have the second pick, but there's always some trading going on behind the scenes. I think Military Bowl would like Army as well, but I don't know if, Army, do they really want to play on Navy's home field? In a way, maybe that's a little awkward, but if they get sent there, there's nothing they can do about it. But the Independence Bowl also wants Army. They were contracted to go to the Independence Bowl on even years. 2024 is an even year when they were an independent. Now they are part of a conference, so you've got that conflict I think they're working out. So there's a good possibility that ECU ends up in the Military Bowl because that's what the Military Bowl wants along with Army. But again, cannot guarantee it'll happen today. If that does happen, I've also heard NC State and Carolina, which there's been some projections out there about that. Philip, I don't think they want any part of playing ECU in the postseason, especially NC State because they open with East Carolina next year. Wouldn't rule out Carolina, but I think if you do go to the Military Bowl, you're likely looking at a Pittsburgh, Boston College, outside chance of a Georgia Tech, something like that. So that's how it's trending now. Of course, if it happens to where ECU is not going to the Military Bowl, then you get the Myrtle Beach Bowl, I think, more in play. Those are your two most likely destinations as of now, but as always, things can change.
Yeah, I think what's going to be interesting is if Army gets that Military Bowl spot, because here's the thing. ESPN, they know who has big fan bases. I don't just mean big fan base. I don't just mean traveling ones, but I mean ones that will tune in on television. 11 a.m. on December the 23rd on a Monday is not the ideal time for one of the biggest group of 5 fan bases to have a football game. And I think ESPN knows that. And if you look historically at the teams who've played in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, now historically it hasn't been on the 23rd, it's been a little bit earlier. They've sent teams that do not have fan bases, that do not pack in stadiums. And they just kind of count their losses because it's always middle of the day, middle of the week. And they're like, you know what, we're just going to whoever can tune in while they're on their lunch break can tune in. So, I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. I don't think that's ideal. I'm hoping that if it's a pre-Christmas bowl game, that the Cure Bowl would be. That's in play still. It's on Saturday, the whatever date that would be, the 19th, I believe. The 21st, whatever. Doesn't matter.
The Cure
whatever
Bowl,
that Saturday. Yeah, I
think it is the 20th.
Oh, the Friday night, the 20th? Okay. But it's still like a Friday afternoon type game. The Frisco Bowl is now obviously out of play. Not that we had really heard many ramblings of East Carolina going to that, but it was a potential spot. Memphis and West Virginia, it was announced yesterday afternoon, will play in the Frisco Bowl. That game is December the 17th, so definitely one of the earlier bowl games. But yeah, so I think if it's pre-Christmas, it's probably the Cure Bowl. I really do not see ESPN sending such a massive fan base to Myrtle Beach on in the middle of the day. But hey, maybe that's their they could come at it the other way and say that's our one chance to get eyes on this bowl game, because if we send, I don't know, some crap school out of the MAC and let them play Old Dominion or something. I don't know if the Old Dominion is even bowl eligible. But if you have one of those like it normally is, nobody's going to watch anyway. So I don't know, but I would really hope we don't end up in the Myrtle Beach Bowl.
You also have ESPN. I know they own the bowl. ESPN Events owns the bowl. Maybe they're looking at it from a tickets perspective. Hey, if we're not going to get huge eyeballs, maybe we can at least sell some tickets, and we do that by getting ECU. The Cure Bowl, by the way, December 20th, that Friday, 12 noon.
Oh, Friday, middle of the day, middle of the week.
Yeah.
Well, not middle of the week, but yeah.
Still not a great TV time slot. And that's I have mixed feelings about a lot of this stuff. There's no perfect bowl game. Like the Military Bowl, you get a good opponent and a chance for a marquee win, but it's going to be cold. I've been to Annapolis 1,000 times, it feels like. I do think you could have much worse destinations. Would prefer to go somewhere south, but more than likely if you're going south, unless it's the Gasparilla Bowl, you're playing a MAC Sunbelt type of team. Not as sexy of a matchup, but also a chance to get a win. Let's be real. If you're playing the Military Bowl, you're more than likely going to be an underdog. If you're playing in Florida or Myrtle Beach, good chance ECU is a favorite. So mixed feelings, but again, we'll bring you the latest on that as we continue to move forward. A lot going on today. I wanted to mention, while we're talking ECU, posted this in VIP again. Hoist the Colors. We ran our 75% off special. We're still running now a 50% off special on HTC. You can sign up, but defensive coordinator search is starting. Really, I would say in earnest today. Blake Harrell is going to conduct some interviews over the coming days, and intel, I would say at this point, I think it's going to be a pretty thorough search. I think Blake Harrell right now trying to decide, hey, do you want to stay within your own tree or do you want to hire somebody from outside maybe his tree, get some different thinking? Blake Harrell did say earlier this week on the ECU Sports Network from Tiebreakers that he is most likely going to hand off those play calling duties next year as head coach for his defensive coordinator role. So he would likely hire a DC to call the plays. Now, he'll still be involved. Most defensive coaches that become head coaches will be involved, but that is going on. Also talking to sources over at ECU, they're spending a ton of time, obviously not only meeting with their current players to try and retain them, but also combing the portal, the transfer portal for guys who have entered or announced that they're going to enter. So a lot of that is film watching right now, a lot of recruiting going on. Of course, you had signing day yesterday, which turned out really good. But I don't know, Phil, what do you think when you hear – and I'm not saying Blake Harrell won't circle back around and end up promoting a Roy Tesh or, going with a guy from his tree, like a Trip Weaver or whatnot. But right now, I think he's going to at least talk to some outside candidates, and I think that's the right approach because at the least you can learn more that way.
Exactly. When you go into these things, you have to have all cards on the table. You've got to get the biggest reach that you can get when interviewing so that you can truthfully find the best candidate. Now, all along, yes, the best candidate could have been in your building, and you could find out that you don't trust anyone like you trust Roy Tesh or Trip Weaver or Damon Magazoo. But at the end of the day, I think it's ignorant to limit yourself to that. And maybe even if in the back of your mind you kind of know, like you said, you can still limit things, and maybe you find a diamond in the rough. Maybe you sit down with someone and it just feels right, even though from the back of your mind you thought, hey, I'm probably going with one of these guys. I mean, you know who I want? I want Roy Tesh. I think he deserves it. Now, at the end of the day, am I going to be all upset? No, I trust Blake to make the right decision. Blake's a high IQ football guy. He's not just in this off luck. He worked his way to the top, and he knows what it takes. He knows what it's going to take for someone to fill his shoes. Those are big shoes to fill. But I'm hoping it's Roy Tesh just because I think Tesh deserves it, and I think he'll do a hell of a job, and really like him.
No doubt. We'll keep you updated there as we hear more on the defensive coordinator front. Wanted to also mention transfer portal offers. So these are the offers that have been reported. I should say transfer portal and junior college offers on social media. And there's a common theme here. All right, so I'm going to read these names, and we'll talk just about them briefly. Obviously not going to get into each guy, but the common theme. All right, portal offers or JUCO offers thus far since the season ended. Running back C.J. Campbell from FAU, who we saw play against ECU earlier this year. Running back Travion Hall, junior college player out of Mississippi Gulf Coast. Running back Dajuan Lacey out of Garden City. Offensive lineman Darrell Jones out of Bowie State. Offensive lineman Caleb Carter out of Western Carolina. Offensive lineman Derek Simmons out of Western Carolina. Offensive lineman Mitchell Butler out of Mississippi College. Offensive lineman Ekani Tuono out of Nebraska Kearney. Offensive lineman Jacob Norcross out of Kennesaw State. Tight end Zeke Moore, FAU. There's also a receiver that has been offered from, I think JUCO. I cannot find his name. Actually, a portal guy comes to mind, but I can't find his name, but I know he's been offered. All right. So what do you have in common here, Philip? A lot of offensive offers, and clearly offensive line's a need. We've talked about it. You need another running back in there with Javius Bond leaving, Rajay Harris graduating. So what do you take out of hearing all those names in certain positions?
Well, look, this is lets me know that they trust and they hope that Anthony Smith and Yannick Smith will stay, that they trust and hope that Caton Hauser will stay, and they know that they need protection from him because there are some older guys on this offensive line, and they know that if this passing attack is going to be successful, London can't carry the ball himself 40 times a game. And, going out there, getting another tight end, hey, that's an extension of the offensive line. Is it nice to have a pass catcher? Sure, yeah, it is.
Definitely a blocking tight end, so looking at him.
Yeah, but you need a guy who can block, especially in this offense. And, yeah, look, there's going to be defensive offers, but I think there's a little more depth right now in the defensive room at East Carolina. I think there's some young guys who stepped up and played more at the end of the year that will fill in for some of the guys graduating. And I don't really know who the next man up is on offense, and these portal offers show that.
And two, no defensive offers really yet, as you mentioned. I think they've progressed pretty well there. I would expect them to try and add some DBs and some D linemen just naturally, but it's and also I should add portal guys. Some of them report every offer, some of them don't. So I'm sure there have been other offers that have not been reported, but I should say the defensive. It could depend on your defensive coordinator hire. What type of scheme are you running? Is ECU going to change schemes? Are they going to look for a different type of personnel? So that is probably being worked through as well right now on the defensive side of the ball. Brady Thomas says, definitely think we should go for an outside hire for defensive coordinator, maybe someone who can get a couple guys from a school now who could enter the portal. Good thoughts there, Brady. Always good to hire guys with connections. Brennan Shapiro says, hoping for the Military Bowl. I'll be up in Maryland that week, so hopefully I'll be able to make it. Robert says, are we looking at the FIU wide receiver Rivers originally from Memphis? I will have to look at that, Robert, to see. But I know ECU offered at least one receiver. He may be a guy. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. All right, so there is your ECU football report. Quickly, ECU basketball. Pirates lose a disappointing game to UNC Wilmington on Tuesday. They've had a couple of days to digest that. Pirates just didn't play well, and it was just a bad game. R.J. Felton, I mean, if you had told me he was going to score 3 points going in, I would have said ECU had zero shot, and that's basically what happened. He had a bad game, and great players are not immune to bad games. It happens. So here's what I do expect, Phillip. ECU going to South Carolina. By the way, we will have Chance Scott covering ECU South Carolina, Hoist the Colors intern. He'll be in the building in Columbia.
And Scott Rogers.
And Scott Rogers. So 2 ECU media people. Man, that's the Scots, as we call them. I expect ECU to play well Saturday. I don't know if they're going to win. Boston College just lost to South Carolina by like 22 points, so that's a little concerning. But R.J. Felton going back to his home state, I am predicting a R.J. Felton 30-point game, and the Pirates cover the spread, whatever it is.
I was about to say, do we even know what the spread is?
No. I'm going to say South Carolina 8.5.
Yeah, it'd be something like that. You know, the good thing is maybe it is good that they blew out Boston College. Everybody's patting them on the back, telling them how good they are because they went up to Chestnut Hill on Tuesday night. They looked really good. I'm pretty sure they let it wire to wire. If they didn't, it's because they were down, 2-0 or something early. But they jumped out pretty quick. And look, this Pirate team has bounced back from their one loss so far this season. Now it's a small sample size. We get that, but they've proven they can beat good basketball teams, right? You go out there, you beat George Mason. George Mason is probably actually the best team that they have played so far to this point, and there are going to be some things that need to be cleaned up, but I think Coach Schwartz, and with playing 3 games in a row, he kind of learned some things about some guys. He got some new faces in at the back end of that tournament due to some just fatigue. And then you go out there, you have an easy opponent against A&T. You get most of the guys in. He still went 11 deep on Tuesday night against UNCW. And I think he's starting to kind of figure out where some of these guys fit in, specifically in the front court. I'm thinking Reed Kaysen will finally see some more playing time. He's still a little shocked by the speed of the game. Now, he's been injured, so he hasn't been able to practice at the Division I level as much as some of the other players have, but he doesn't look too overwhelmed when he comes to the game. He's half a step behind, but I think that will come through as time goes on. And look, we know the guard play is going to be decent. It was a bad night for the guards the other night, but they'll bounce back. I'm not worried about this guard play. They're physical. They're fast. They play together. There's good chemistry there. I don't expect to see 2 bad games in a row from the perimeter offense of the Pirates.
It'll be a 2 o'clock tip-off on Saturday. I believe SEC Network Extra is going to be the telecast for that game. KC adds UNCW fans behind me Tuesday night were chanting, "Let number 3 shoot it," shaking my head. Yeah, I mean, look, UNCW, for whatever reason, just has R.J. Felton's number, and who knows? It's just one of those things in sports sometimes you can't explain. Let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll talk some college football. Championship weekend is ahead. We'll discuss not only the American Athletic Conference title game coming up tomorrow night, but also get into the full picture of the weekend, what it means for the college football playoff, and more. Again, follow up with your questions. Let us know what you want to talk about, and we'll get to that as well. This is Hoist the Colors on a Thursday.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
ECU Athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors here on a Thursday. Philip Pilkington is with us. I figured out the receiver ECU offered. Did some research during the break. So ECU has offered a receiver from the portal. We were going over the offers that ECU's extended either JUCO or portal since the season ended. His name is Raylan Sharp from Fresno State, 51 catches, 523 yards, 3 touchdowns. He is a slot receiver with Jari Patterson and Winston Wright. Seniors, not a surprise to see ECU offering a slot receiver there. And he also has offers already from Arkansas, North Texas, and a few others. So, again, kind of leading to... You can follow the offers and see what ECU needs this offseason, essentially. It kind of lines up, kind of makes some sense there. So we'll continue to follow that. Portal season will officially open on December 9th. Next week, visits will be allowed, so it'll pick up a lot more then for transfer recruiting. All right, college football. Philip, we've got 3 conference championship games tomorrow. We've got 9 total this weekend. What is your level of interest in conference championship weekend without ECU's participation?
It's still pretty high. Obviously it doesn't have as much influence on the playoff maybe as it has in the past with only 4 because we have so many teams who are locked in. But when you look at, if Clemson wins, does that then knock out Alabama? What happens with the UNLV Boise State game? I think Boise kind of got away with one. Last time they traveled to Vegas to take on UNLV. This game is at Allegiant Stadium. No, neither team hosts. It's just that's what the contract says, that it's played at Allegiant Stadium. Well, that's the home of the Rebels now. They don't play on campus anymore. And even if it wasn't, it's still right down the road. So there's that. It's who gets the bye. We were talking about it before the show. Oregon is probably the best team in the country. If they lose, it doesn't matter. They won't get a bye if they lose by default. So I think seeing how all this plays out, who gets the buys, who gets in. Like I said, there's not as many questions about getting in as there has been in the past. But, there's still play-in games, right? Iowa State, Arizona State, that's a play-in game. UNLV, Boise, that is a play-in game. If you're Clemson, for you, that's a play-in game. So there's a lot, and I'm excited for this new 12-team format, and final resume builder is tomorrow and Saturday.
Friday's action will include Western Kentucky against Jacksonville State for the Conference USA Championship. No Liberty this year. UNLV, Boise State in the Mountain West title, as you mentioned. That'll be an 8 o'clock tip-off. Jeez. Already in basketball mode. 8 o'clock kickoff. So I'm looking at this. It says, at least on ESPN site, it says Albertson Stadium, Boise, Idaho. Is this game in Boise?
Maybe it is. I thought it was it is saying Albertson Stadium. I thought it was in Vegas, but I could be wrong.
They must have changed it to where.
Maybe. Because maybe, is the Pac-12 oh, there is no Pac-12.
Yeah. Just straight Mountain West. I guess it is home field advantage.
Maybe. I guess they changed it because I think last year, that could be wrong. There was always a game at, maybe I'm getting it confused with the Pac-12. Are we not going to let Oregon State and Washington State play a random game there and call them the Pac-2 champions?
Probably not.
Okay, so I guess it's in Boise. That changes a lot.
I think what happened was last year maybe these two teams met in the championship and it was at UNLV.
Maybe.
In Vegas maybe. So, I don't know. Somebody help us out.
That changes a lot, though.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold.
It says 37 degrees at kickoff.
Those people are going to be rocking.
4-point favorite, Boise, on their home turf. I think I can already see where I'm making that pick.
I can too, but like I don't know, I've had a gut feeling the whole time that after all these years of Boise should have having a chance, they're finally going to have one and they're going to blow it. I just like gut feeling. I don't know why.
Ashton GNC, by the way, 312 carries, 2,288 rushing yards, 28 touchdowns.
Most rushing yards ever by a running back that will not win the Heisman because they're going to be stupid and give it to Travis Hunter.
Just give him the Heisman, man. What are we doing? Tulane and Army, 8 o'clock kickoff on ABC on Friday nights. Have you seen the line for this game? Are you looking at it?
Yeah, I had everything pulled up. Sorry. I was not going to guess that.
Yeah,
though.
I'm pretty surprised. Tulane is a 5-point favorite at Army. 28 degrees is going to be the temperature at kickoff there. Saturday in the Big 12 title, you've got Iowa State at Arizona State. That's a 12 noon kickoff in Arlington at the Cowboys Stadium. You also have some action, Ohio against Miami of Ohio at Ford Field. Georgia, Texas in the SEC championship game. That's 4 o'clock on Saturday. Marshall, Louisiana is a 7:30 kickoff on Saturday on ESPN. By the way, before we get to the other two games, I'm going to be watching this game, Philip, because are you following the Charles Huff situation at Marshall? His contract is up.
Yeah.
And is apparently not going to be re-signed, and he is coaching for a conference championship. It's pretty amazing story.
Yeah, that's nuts. So like, if they win, does he even coach the bowl game? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Because they hate him.
Yeah, the administration apparently does not get along. I guess the fan base. If he had enough love from the fan base, would he not be like? He'd have to be re-signed. But, I mean, if you're playing for a conference championship, what more is there to prove? And it's not like he's been bad other years. I mean, that's just bizarre. So that'll be a 7:30 kickoff. That will be played in Lafayette at Louisiana's home field. Quietly 10-win season for the Raging Cajuns. Penn State is at Oregon, 8 o'clock kickoff. Penn State versus Oregon in the Indianapolis, 8 o'clock kickoff. Oregon a 3.5-point favorite on a neutral field. And then Clemson against SMU in Bank of America Stadium. SMU, 2.5-point favorite. How many SMU fans do you expect to be in Bank of America?
I didn't know SMU fans actually existed. I don't think I've ever met an SMU fan. So I'm going to go not many. That's going to be a home game for Clemson, so that will be interesting. Looking here, so my dad did text me and say that it is the higher seed that hosts. So and then I looked it up on Wikipedia. The team with the best conference record hosts the championship game. The tiebreaker procedure for determining which teams are selected to host the championship game. It also serves as the tiebreaker determining the host. Then it goes into the tie-breaking procedures. But anyways, so yes, the highest-seeded Mountain West team does host the championship game. So
Boise hosting.
Yeah, so I was wrong. It's not at Allegiant.
All right. Does that change? You're still going with UNLV, perhaps? I guess we'll wait till tomorrow.
I don't know. We'll wait till tomorrow. Like I said, gut feeling Boise's going to blow. They've had so many opportunities. Remember in 2010, they were the number 2 team in the country, and then Nevada went in there, Kaepernick, and they beat them. And it was like they were technically – Auburn probably would have eventually jumped them after beating Bama in the Iron Bowl, but they technically controlled their own destiny to go to the national championship game, and they blew it. Like, it would just be the most Boise thing ever to blow it.
A lot of pressure on them for sure. And, I think if they get off to a good start in that game, they roll. But I think if you're if you mess around, UNLV hangs around, that's when you get in trouble.
And you let them hang around last time, and you got lucky. You got down big to San Jose State a few weeks ago. You rallied back. But I think like you said, I don't know if they're going to beat them tight twice. It's just tough. UNLV's a good team, man.
They are. Very good. Graham Till says Tulane handled Navy, which could lead to the spread. He says 28-degree temperatures could change some things, but their defense seems to rise to the occasion. Should be a great game. Tulane Army. All right. What game is your must-watch from this slate, Phillip? Like, you just have to watch it. You can't miss it.
Growing up in the era of watching Boise be the number 3 team in the country and only 2 get the national championship, I want to see if they finally get a shot. So for me, it's the Boise game, just solely because we know Penn State and Oregon are both in. The Clemson thing, they've got to win to get in, so I do get that. But Georgia Texas will actually probably be the best game, I think. But it's just finally, after all these years, does Boise finally get a chance to play for a national championship? Something that has eluded them for the better part of 2 decades. So I want to see what happens there.
I think that's second on my list. I'll definitely be watching it. Clemson SMU, just because of it just feels like SMU has been too good.
Yeah.
And you talk about blowing it. Now, if they lose, they could still get in, but I could see a scenario Clemson wins this game by 2 touchdowns, and then what happens,
Yeah, the tough thing about SMU, we kind of talked about it yesterday, their best win is at Duke. That's not very impressive. And when you look at this right now, look who's on the bubble, right? So if Clemson wins, that bumps Alabama out if SMU stays in. Does the committee want to put SMU or Alabama in the college football playoff? Well, we learned a lot last year with this when they put Alabama in the college football playoff over Georgia. So, yeah.
I mean, if you had to do, not that this matters, but if you had to say Alabama, SMU on a neutral field, who's favored? It's got to be Alabama, right?
Yeah, it does. Here's the one thing that I don't like about Alabama when you look at their body of work. Yes, they've won some big games. They have beat Georgia. That's big. But when you look at it, man, they have not played well against bad football teams.
They have some horrible losses.
They have bad losses on the schedule. Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, I think both of them maybe ended up with 6 wins. But, yeah, you have 2 wins or 2 losses against teams with non-winning records. Actually, it's over here on the side now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, Vanderbilt ended up 6-6. Oklahoma ended up 6-6. So, yeah, you have 2 losses against 500 programs. And then 1 loss to Tennessee, who's obviously a good team and will be in the college football playoff. They're not in contention for anything this week, but they're locked in just due to their body of work. So, yeah, but they got the good wins too, right? You've beat LSU. You've beat Georgia. You've beat Missouri. So it's there, but, they kind of play to their competition, whereas SMU kind of looks the same all the time, right? They've played good against good teams, and they've played good against bad teams. So I'm for rewarding victories. You got to win the games. You play the game to win the game, but, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. And if their name is not Alabama, they're punished a lot more for a bad loss. But because it's Alabama, we overlook it, or the committee does. Robert, with an interesting question, says, is it important for Boise State to win at least 1 playoff game for the group of 5 to continue to get access to the playoffs in the future? I don't think they have to win it. I think they at least, if they make the playoff and they get a bye, they just can't go out there and lose, 40-3 against whoever in the quarterfinals or whatever.
Yeah, it's almost tough in a way that Boise's going to end up, say right now they're projected to be the 4. But if you end up the 4 and Penn State beats Oregon, that means Oregon's probably going to be the 5. You got to play Oregon. Now, they should have beat Oregon earlier in the year at Eugene, but still, that's kind of the tough thing. It's it's different in the playoffs. So I'm with you. You don't get throttled, but technically the top 5 conference champions get in. So the group of 5 team will get in. But I get what you're saying as to whether or not they'll just automatically slot them in as the 12. But yeah, I mean, you're hoping here that you find a way to be the maybe you're the 3 and you get the winner of a bad 6-11 game, but still, I think they're going to get beat if they do make it. It's just a matter of, how bad. I think they need to go out there and look competitive.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if Boise plays Penn State in the second round or somehow gets somebody like that, I could see them winning. But, it's just one of those things. I don't know. A lot of it is matchup based because if they somehow draw Georgia or something like that.
That's what I was about to say. They could very easily draw Georgia or Ohio State.
Yeah.
I mean, if Texas beats Georgia and Oregon beats Penn State, you are probably looking at getting Ohio State as the 5. Now, Penn State could be the 5, but, or Tennessee.
Yeah. So, I mean, the path is there to be – they're going to have to earn it, but, I mean, at the same time, you're getting a bye in the playoff. So, they'll have an advantage from a rest standpoint. And they showed with Oregon they can at least compete. So we'll see.
They'll have the advantage from the rest standpoint real quick. I know you get a break.
Yeah.
They would almost, I think, in a way better off being the 5.
Yeah.
Because at least you get to host, right? At least you might get a Southern team to go up there and freeze their rear ends off in Boise, Idaho, surrounded by a bunch of potato farms and not know what the heck's going on and have 36,000 people screaming at them as opposed to a neutral site bowl game. Almost to earn that respect, you almost don't want the bye if you're Boise. Because I think if you're Boise, you would rather not get the bye, win, and then lose in the quarterfinals than get the bye and lose in the quarterfinals.
Right. Because of what the moment would mean in Boise.
Yeah, to win the game and to host the game, yeah.
I'm with you. It'd just be like if ECU had a chance to get a bye or host a playoff game, I think I'd pick host a playoff game just to see the madness that Daddy Ficklen would be. So,
exactly.
It'd be crazy. All right, we'll get a break in. We'll talk NFL playoff picture after this. We'll do that on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let ComfortMaster help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call ComfortMaster today.
Call ComfortMaster. Call ComfortMaster.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Live with Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in, Hoist the Colors. We're talking college football playoff picture. Philip Pilkington with us here. Kevin Cozart says on Facebook, Joel Klatt said on his podcast, he would rather be the 5 seed. Whoever gets that seed would be in the driver's seat. You look at it, if you're the 5, which Penn State is in the current projection, they would host Arizona State in round 1. I don't think Arizona State, as good of a season as they've had, is going to go to Penn State and win in that weather. And then they would play Boise in the next round. So definitely think that's a doable path. Notre Dame, the 6, they could easily slot in as the 5. Georgia could potentially. They'd have to jump Notre Dame and Penn State, and they would probably do that by losing because obviously if they win, they're going to get a bye. So I don't know. It's probably going to be Notre Dame or Penn State, depending on what happens in the Big Ten championship. So good thoughts there for sure. Let's look at the NFL playoff picture. I'll tell you what, let's start with the AFC, and we'll tie it in with the Pirates because do we have that clip ready to roll, Philip? Want to make sure we do.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yep, we're good.
Because a former Pirate, Jaquan McMillan, had a big pick 6 Monday night to help the Broncos get that much closer to the playoffs.
Ford is the back in the shotgun. 42 at Cleveland. The Browns quarterback, Jameis Winston, looks into the nickel. Empties the backfield. 1st and 10 is on 42. The shotgun snap, the short drop, the quick throw far side. It's intercepted. Denver's intercepted in McMillan 40. Sideline 30. Down the sideline 20. 10. 5. Touchdown. It's a pick 6. It's a Bronco pick 6.
Oh my goodness. A beautiful throw on 3rd down, and he comes back and leaves this way behind. Moore on the throw. A great catch up against the helmet, going to the ground, and nobody touches him. Wherewithal to bounce up and take it back for 6.
Jaquan McMillan, former Pirate. We all have something in common with Jaquan McMillan. We were all undrafted by the NFL, Philip.
That is true.
And one of us is making plays on Monday Night Football. The other 2 of us are not. But congrats to J-Mac, who, honestly, man, dating back to last year, look, I'm a Denver Broncos fan. It warms my heart every time he's making a play. But he's been a key part of their turnaround under Sean Payton. The nickel cornerback has made play after play, and good to see him get some limelight. The Broncos beat the Browns 41-32. The most Jameis Winston ever game, Philip, 34 of 58, 497 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, 2 of which were pick 6s. I was nervous about that game. Kind of got screwed on the cover, which I had, as Cleveland should have scored late. Jameis threw another pick. Of course, and Denver kind of covered a game they shouldn't have covered. But the Broncos keep finding a way to win. They're now the 7th seed, Philip. And I know you've got ties to Colorado. You're a Panthers fan, but they're ahead of schedule from a rebuild standpoint. This is supposed to be their rebuild season, but right now they're in pretty good shape to make the playoffs.
They are. And what an opportunity for Bo Nix in his rookie season to go out there and get playoff experience. And then that would add him to a short list of guys. You know, C.J. Stroud did make the playoffs a year ago. There are others, but a lot of those guys, you know, Robert Griffin III did, Andrew Luck, but Tom Brady did not. Peyton Manning did not. Joe Montana did not. And the list goes on and on of guys that did not make the playoffs their first season. And even if they go out there and you don't want to get your rear ends handed to you, but if you go out there and you lose a game by a touchdown, or even you lose it by 10 points, to go out there and on the road, because you're not going to win your division. That's the the Chiefs are going to clinch the division on Sunday when they beat the Chargers. And even if they don't, it's going to be the Chargers who can catch them more than the Broncos. So you're going to have to go on the road, and that's going to be a great opportunity. He's going to go to a hostile environment. He's probably going to go to a cold environment. As of right now, he would go to Buffalo, and that would be hostile. And if you go out there and lose 27-17 and you throw a pick, hey, you know what? You've done it. And you're going to be ahead of everybody else drafted in your draft class because you've gone out there and you've done it and you've played. And look, what an opportunity. You're 8-5. Season didn't start out great, but they've bounced back. They've looked good, and they beat some good football teams.
Sticking with the AFC, the Broncos are the 7th seed as of right now. The Chargers, the 5 in the wild card. The Ravens are the 6, 8-5. Broncos are 8-5. The Ravens beat the Broncos head-to-head, so they have the head-to-head as far as seeding. The Chargers and Broncos play for the second time here in a couple weeks. Denver and Baltimore are on a bye. As you mentioned, leading the division right now, the Chiefs and the Bills, who have already clinched a playoff spot. You've got the Steelers, who have a 2-game lead, 2.5, really, with the win over the Ravens although they had to play again on that in the AFC North, and then the Texans leading the AFC South. So, the Chargers have kind of been sneaky good all year under Harbaugh. I don't know if they have a chance to make a run through the playoffs, but certainly could win a game or two. The Ravens certainly have the ability to, although that defense continues to worry me. The seedings, I don't want to say they're set. The only team that can really take out Denver realistically, the Colts are 2 games behind the Broncos, and they play after the bye. Both teams are on a bye. Indianapolis goes to Denver. If Denver wins that game, they're pretty much in, barring a complete meltdown and somebody else going on a run. If Indianapolis wins, Phillip, that could maybe change, the formula. Denver would still be in, but there would be a big threat going forward.
Yeah, we talked about it before the show. Indy's schedule after that, I believe it's the Jaguars, the Giants, and somebody else bad, maybe Tennessee's in there. It's 3 bad football teams that they could very easily win out and go down the stretch. Even if they beat Denver, they could very easily end up 10-7. Whereas Denver has to play the Chargers. They have to play Cincinnati, who, despite not being a great football team defensively, anytime Joe Burrow is slinging it, you can lose right to them. And then you guys have KC the last week. Yeah, so
we'll see
that's
what they
tough.
have to play for.
So you got to, that's a good point. You almost you hope that if you do not do that, you at least get a bad KC team the last week. And my dad did text me to remind me that John Elway did make the playoffs his rookie year, and Elway was not mentioned as people who made it. I think Marino might have made it his rookie year as well. I think they both made it in '83, but he wanted to throw that nugget in there for the Broncos.
No rookie quarterback, though, has ever won the Super Bowl. Could Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels been the first?
Has a rookie quarterback ever been to the Super Bowl?
I was just looking it up. I think Brock Purdy got close with the Niners, but that was it. There's been a few guys who have made the championship, but not the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. It just shows how tough it is as a rookie. All right, the NFC, the Lions are holding on to the top spot right now, although the NFC North is just insanely good. Is it that good, or is the NFC just that bad? Is the league just too top-heavy right now? You get the Lions at 11-1, the Vikings and Packers holding the top wild card spots at 10-2 and 9-3 respectively.
The rest of the NFC, other than pretty much these 7 teams, actually not even these 7, really these 5, because Seattle and Atlanta hold their division lead, but they stand no chance really of a wild card if they lose that. Which, as I say, that the Commanders are only 8-5, but I don't think the North is maybe as much of a juggernaut as the records say. Now the Lions are. But at the end of the day, they have both beaten out of conference. I believe Minnesota and Green Bay have won out of conference games against good football teams. They've proven they can win, and like we said in the college segment, you play the game to win the game. They're finding ways to win the game. I don't think that Minnesota and Green Bay are on the level of Kansas City, Buffalo, and Detroit and Philadelphia. But they're still there, and look, man, you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. We've seen some weird stuff. Both those Eli Super Bowl teams, we were not projecting to get anywhere near the Super Bowl, and he went on to win too.
Huge game tonight, Packers at Lions. Lions already won at Lambeau, so if they can win tonight, they'll be sitting in good shape for the division. Other teams in contention for the wild card but have room or ground to make up for the Commanders. The Bucks are 6-6. The Cardinals are 6-6. The Rams are 6-6. And then you got the Niners and Cowboys 5-7, probably on the outside looking in.
But those teams are more in contention for their division than they are to catch. The Commanders are 8-5. You look at the Falcons lead the South at 6-6. That's what's keeping the Bucks in this thing. And then the Seahawks are 7-5. So that's really what's keeping the Rams and the Niners and the Cardinals in this thing.
So there is your NFL playoff update. Again, the Falcons did win 2 over the Bucks in the regular season. So they hold that tiebreaker as well as far as the AFC or the NFC South. So we'll continue to update you on the playoff picture, both for college and football. Tomorrow we'll make our picks for NFL and college as well. In football, we'll do that with Bobby Harvard on our Friday show. We'll get our final break in. We'll come back. We will wrap up the show. Big news. Military Bowl just sent out a tweet that they are going to a team selection meeting. So we'll talk about that to wrap up the show. This is Hoist the Colors.
This holiday season, get the gift you really want at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Drive a new Corolla, just $229 a month, or a new Tacoma, only $329 a month during the holiday trade-up at Greenville Toyota.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Hey, on the mountain we've got a saying. Get off your...
Show off.
Mountain Dew.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Unwrap a new Toyota for the holidays at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Get a new Camry, $269 a month, or a new RAV4, $329 a month. Trade up and save at Greenville Toyota.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
matey.
Back to the show with Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the colors. A few minutes left. So the Military Bowl, which, as we've discussed, is very much a realistic possibility for ECU here in Army or ECU, likely a fit for that game. From the American, Go Bowling Military Bowl. I guess that is that the sponsor, Go Bowling? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
I don't know. I don't know if it's like golf now, but for bowling, the only reason I even know that it's a potential sponsor is because they sponsor the NASCAR race at Watkins Glen, so I know it's an actual company.
So the Go Bowling Military Bowl just tweeted an hour ago. Team selection time. Who should we take? With a eyebrow-raising, confused look emoji. So I guess the Military Bowl is trying to figure out what their bowl matchup is going to be. We've already learned, of course, South Florida's headed to the Hawaii Bowl to face San Jose State. We know Memphis is going to Frisco to face West Virginia. Could we find out in the next little bit, Philip, that ECU is going to the Military Bowl? Seems possible.
Yeah, I think we definitely could. It's kind of nice that we're getting some of these crossed off the list early, and then if we don't, it at least narrows it down. Like, right, if we find out a different team's going, and depending on who that team is, that obviously kind of lays out maybe a slightly more clear path than we have at this moment. But I think it comes down to East Carolina and Army based off what we've heard. So we'll see. It'd be interesting. Army obviously still has to play 2 more games between now and the bowl game, so they'll definitely want a post-Christmas bowl with the Black Knights.
Military Bowl is a 5:45 kickoff time
on Saturday, right?
Yes. How do you feel about a 5:45 kickoff?
It's not bad. It's going to be a little chilly if you kick off at 5:45, but. Hey, look, there's eyes on it, right? It's better than playing during the day, during the week. We talked about the Cure Bowl. It's a Friday at noon. Talked about the Myrtle Beach Bowl. It's a Monday at 11 a.m. So give me that Saturday game. You're going to be competing, I think, that late with a little bit of NFL. I think that's finally when NFL starts playing some of their games on Saturday. But, look, hey, it's at least something, right? And, it's between Christmas and New Year's. It's very good for the Pirate fans to make it.
There you go. All right, we'll continue to have you updated, obviously, on our social media pages, Hoist the Colors, as well as 94.3 The Game. We'll make our picks tomorrow at 12 noon. Hopefully we'll have some clarity on the bowl situation then. But until then, this has been HTC. We will talk to you guys tomorrow.